Happy New Year 2025. Maybe you can tell from the thumbnail that I'm at a beach. I believe the thumbnail says no one is coming to save you. I didn't have a lifeguard to put in the picture. They're not working at this time of year because very few people are in the water. There are some in wetsuits surfing. Today was a bit cooler than I thought it was going to be, and it's getting colder each day as I go into leaving this area. So I thought I really wanted to get this filmed yesterday. It was a beautiful day yesterday. I went into Wilmington. Was that yesterday? I don't know. Anyway, one day I went into Wilmington, walked on the beach, took Miss Carol, or actually Miss Carol took me to lunch. I drove her. She bought it. Then I met Leo's owners down on the beach. I guess I didn't actually walk on the beach because they bought me a drink at the tiki bar. Then we went to their house and I played with Leo, the big 100-pound white lab, a British cream lab that I've house set for 3 times in the past. Once down here, 2 in Ashburn, just down the street from my parents. The title of today's video is The Best Lessons I Learned in 2024. You know, in years past, I've done an update of how I fulfilled my goals from the past year, and then I told you my goals for the next year. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to tell you what I've learned, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. And I'll get into that why in just a minute. I have my computer here with an outline, or some sentences actually, so if I'm looking down, I'm reading that. Hopefully the top of my head is not too gray or too odd looking if I look down and you see that. But anyway, let me introduce myself. I'm Chip. This channel is CP59Fit. As of November 30th, I have been uploading for 4 years. And yesterday, I didn't go to Wilmington yesterday. Yesterday I spent the whole day writing up another script that was going to go into a whole lot more details, and that may end up being an introductory video to this channel. I may film that next. I wanted to make a lot of videos today, but it's a bit, like I said, it's a bit cooler than I expected. It's beautifully sunny, but the wind is strong, and it's a little less than 60 degrees, which is warm from where I come from, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, Pennsylvania, where I've been. I was at a white Christmas and came to the beach. Really now, baby. I got the 2 dogs out here. This one wants to be right beside me all the time. It's an Australian cattle dog. She comes, sticks her nose up on my leg in the chair here. But anyway, yeah, I wrote that up and I thought, nope, that's not what I want to do right now. I want to share what I've learned and some of my progress from 2024. And you may be able to read between the lines as to how that's going to progress in 2025. We're heading for a big change, I guess what I've been calling a big leap in 2025. I've already done 2 in the last 4 years of this channel. I did not make a 4-year anniversary video yet. That might be made today too. I don't know. Let's see. That's kind of weird to do it a month after my anniversary. But the channel is going well. I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. I am in a rush to give you some value though. So let me share some of these lessons I've learned in 2024. But first, let me tell you how I've been learning them. I'm pretty much a perpetual learner, an ongoing learner. I guess in the old days we called it read. Today I listen to audiobooks as I drive. Since this was about a 10-hour drive down here, I think I got through a whole one and then a part of another one. But anyway, I'm listening to a lot of the classics. Things, cold nose on my hand. Here, sit. Sit. Sit, thank you. Sorry, I can't pause this. Just stop it. And I don't have a splicer with me. I haven't been able to get the thing loaded on this newer computer, so I can't splice it, or else I'd stop it and restart it. But I may have to put her inside. Baby, sit. Sit. Too bad I can't show her to you. She's a little big to pick up, and I don't want to move the camera. But anyway, I've been going to a lot of the classics that I read 20, 30 years ago, like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, As a Man Thinketh, and then some new ones like Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, The Secret, or The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm not going to mention a whole lot of that, but I have been studying manifestation and intentions. And I've also found a new influencer Well, he's new to me. He's been posting 9 or 10 years, so twice as long as I have on YouTube, and his name is Dan Martell. Apparently a multimillionaire, maybe a billionaire, I don't know, but he's probably a billionaire. He shares success secrets, and then I also found some Jim Rohn videos, which obviously are not Jim Rohn. He died in 2003, and I actually knew the man who promoted him, worked with him on several occasions. And I sent him a text over a message, I guess, on Facebook saying, are any of these channels yours? Because I know it's not Jim. Stop. I know it's not. I'm going to put my hands up here. I keep getting wet noses nudging me to pet her. Come over here. I'll pet you. Come here. Anyway, because he's saying in 2025 you need to do this, and in 2025 if you want to be successful, and I might say 2024 instead of 25 sometimes. I know in the last video I said the wrong year. I got him. I don't know. I was talking about next year and I said 2024 or something. Anyway, sometime you know what I'm talking about. Jim Rohn died in 2003, so he's not saying in 2025. So AI is getting involved in some of these YouTube videos now. So I texted a friend on Facebook who I've actually had business dealings with in Texas. He lived in South Lake when I lived in Fort Worth. And he's a very successful man also. He said, nope, I'm not doing any Jim Rohn videos, but have a great 2025, Chip. And so I think the concepts were accurate, but some of the, they were adding in things like, oh, you can build a network on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm like, no, Jim would have never said that because that stuff didn't even exist back then. So the influencer, who obviously it's a faceless channel because they're just taking old clips and putting it in. But in fact, that man I texted had given me a whole collection of Jim Rohn tapes, CDs, I'm sorry. We weren't friends quite that long ago. They were CDs of weekend conferences they'd run and books Jim had written. So the 5 laws, I had read that book, so I understood it was mostly accurate. Well, now she wants to go inside. You're going to have to wait a minute, or quite a few minutes. But anyway, let me get into what I've learned. But that's kind of how I got the information. And it's really amazing what you can learn on YouTube if you listen to the right people. In fact, I had to go to YouTube to learn how to run the dishwasher here. Because you have to, every other one I've been at, you turn it on, there might be a start button, but then you shut it and it works. This one, you shut it and it doesn't do a thing. I thought I'd started it the other day when I went into Wilmington, came back and the soap was still in the container and all the dishes were still dirty. You have to push the power button, then the cycle, then you got to push the cycle again until all the lights start blinking, then you shut the door. And apparently some of their cycles don't work because I had to, on normal it didn't work, but on quick it did. So I got a quick wash and then I'll have to check them and see what happens. That's just some of the joys of life on the road. But it's nice to, I enjoy where I'm living, but it's nice to have a house to myself for 10 days. But one of the things that the Jim Rohn video said, and I've heard him say this in the past, is that you don't have to do extraordinary things to succeed. You just need to do ordinary things in an extraordinary way. So, motto for next year, or actually that made me feel good because, you think building a YouTube channel is difficult. It takes a lot of time. I have to redo these multiple times. Like I said, I don't have a splicer, so it makes it harder. In fact, I don't even edit my videos. You can probably tell that. I just film them and load them. That's kind of like the new way, and that's the only way I've ever done it. So I wouldn't say I'm a trendsetter, but I guess I am setting a trend. But most people think it's extraordinarily hard to build a YouTube channel, and I will agree with them. But making it, if, as Peggy Britt used to say, if you just do a little bit every day, you'll get there in the long run, or you'll get there. She was one of the icons of Britt Worldwide and the Amway business when I was in it 20 years ago. And the lady I took out in Wilmington was personally sponsored by them, so I was 2 down under them. And she said, I just got an email that Peggy had passed away last Tuesday. I have not been able to confirm that, but if it came, who she said it came from is like their personal assistant. So I expect that to be accurate. I just haven't been able to find it on Google yet. So anyway, if you're familiar with that, if you ever met her, she was a dear lady. Would have been probably close to 90. So lived a good life. But she would always say at the conferences, if you just do a little bit every day, things will progress, just don't stop. And I would like to say that's what I've been doing on YouTube, but it hasn't been a little bit every day. It's been a little bit hit and miss. And that's another reason I didn't do well in Amway, is I didn't put my all into it. Lesson learned, I guess. Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who I've studied a lot under, also says lessons are repeated until learned. So hopefully I've learned my lesson on that. And then this Dan Martell guy, I think he's a billionaire. He drives a lot of what are called supercars. Them things are about $500,000 a piece or more. He shows 5 or 6 of them on his videos. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I really don't aspire to have lots of supercars. I'd have to have a place to put them. When you're a digital nomad, you can only have one car because it's with you. But anyway, one thing he said that also hit the head on the nail was, your biggest opportunity sits on the other side of what scares you the most. And I think there's another version he said in another video. He says your biggest opportunity sits on the other side or right next to your greatest tragedy. So I can relate to both of those. My greatest tragedy was probably the stroke or either my mother passing away last year. But I'm on the other side of both of those, so I shouldn't have any fear of that, and I really don't. I am a lot healthier now than I was prior to the stroke. And I'm a lot lighter than I was after following the medical advice. So we are going to get back to health on this channel real soon. Well, actually at the end of this video, I will give you my latest figures from a in-body scan I had about a week ago. But let's talk about the fear. The fear for me is going all in on this channel, not going back to work, that kind of stuff. Because I think I talk about this a little further down, so let me just keep moving on that. We'll come back to that. Oh yeah, it's this next paragraph if I can get to it. I'm on battery on this screen, so it doesn't stay lit as long as it does when it's plugged in. And I made it real big so I can see it without my readers or some other form of assistance. So anyway, one of the other fallacies he mentions frequently is we've always heard you have to work hard to get what you want. That's probably why I went back to manual labor jobs. Can you hear the dogs growling? I don't know what they're growling at. They'll have to handle it. It's probably a squirrel in the yard or somebody walking a dog down the street. There's a golf course behind the camera. Not a whole lot of people playing today. It's New Year's Day. It may not even be open. I haven't seen anybody out there. But he said, you work 100 hours a week because you don't value yourself. So been there, done that. I'm not going to do it again. But I did take a job at Costco wholesale and at Sheetz convenience store because I guess I was afraid I wouldn't have enough money to do what I really wanted to do. And again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, but I think believing in myself may have been one of the biggest fears, and I'm trying to overcome that and just move forward. I've run a successful business for 20-some years in Texas. I shouldn't be afraid of self-employment. Of course, there were ups and downs. I had the stroke when I was self-employed. I worked part-time jobs and seasonal jobs, and that might be how the future pans out. Again, I'm not going to tell you all the details. You have to read between the lines. But if we go along with the philosophy that working hard gets you what you want, then tell me why most construction workers and roof replacement people don't have what they want, because they are some of the hardest workers I know. And in Texas, most of them are immigrants. So they're very hard workers, but they're also struggling financially in the big picture. I just wonder, sometimes this shirt, the buttons don't always stay buttoned, so I just thought I better check. And yet down to the bottom, which isn't on camera, there is one open. I've had this shirt a long time. You may have seen it in a video 4 years ago. It's one of the, I guess I haven't changed size that much if I can wear clothes. In fact, the suits I wore to the interview were from like 20 years ago. So I'm not doing bad health-wise. In fact, the lady I took out, her husband once told me, Chip, you know, if you gain 1 pound a year, think of how much you weigh by the time you're 60. Well, I am spitting on 60 now, and I probably weigh less than when he told me that. So, score. I heeded that advice and went in the right direction. Another thing we get concerned of, or we've always heard, and this is part of change your paradigm, change your life, and having to reevaluate beliefs that we've held forever, which has been a lot of what I've done in 2024. I think I have that written down too. I'll get to that later. We'll hold that thought for a second. Another thought we have to overcome sometimes is the thought that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Then you get so big it becomes, business-wise, it becomes physically impossible to do that. So that's a quandary. That's the little one. Earl. No. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell on the camera. But that comes from a fear that if someone else sets up like a speaker at your event, an inch off or a couple inches off, you know, it's going to alienate some client so much, your biggest client drops you, and that starts the spiral into homelessness and living under a bridge. Well, that's not really a legitimate fear for most of us. But that's where it comes from, you know, it's that you don't want to, you're afraid of the results if you don't do it yourself, because nobody else can do it as good as you, is what we think, which is probably a fallacy. Let me get down to this next page. Okay, so this is a reason I'm being a little coy on 2025, is one of the Jim Rohn videos I watched was titled something like, Don't Tell Anybody Your Plans for 2025. And I'll explain that a little bit, and then Dan Martell kind of clarified it. And it goes along the lines of The Greatest Secret that Rhonda Byrne wrote, which is a sequel to the Secret movie that came out in 2006 about the law of attraction. So it has manifestation, intention, belief, faith, God. They call it God, the universe, in that, but then she says in some words, well, if you want to call it God, that's fine, they're the same thing, which that's getting a little close to the line where I have a problem with it. I'm not really a New Age belief type of person, but I am a God type of person, a belief and a faith in God, and I honestly believe it was a miracle that saved my life, and I have a vision and a purpose to fulfill now that I'm still here. Okay, so Dan's comment was, you don't tell anyone your dreams, which would be your goals, as they don't have the same faith in the Creator that you do. And he says, I was created to create, or maybe I'm saying this, or maybe it's my notes I wrote on. I was created to create by a wonderful Creator, and I need to step in that into that reality to fulfill my purpose. If I was, and he brings up one of the questions he asks a lot of people when he's helping them plan out their multi-million-dollar business plans. They'll say, well, I want to be a billionaire in 10 years. Okay, so can you do it in 5? Well, 5 might be a stretch, maybe 3. So then he asks the next question. And I'll say, to me, if I was told today I had 2 years to live, what would I do? And people say, well, I'd get it done right away, or I'd go fishing in Alaska, or I'd go skiing in Alaska, I'd go to the beach, I'd go to Vegas, whatever. Why? Because your perspective changed just like that. Your belief changed just like that. So for me, I would probably double down and give it my all on YouTube and lifestyle coaching, because I am rather unhappy when I see the suffering caused by poor health and choices people make that harm their health, and then they have consequences like strokes that fortunately did not adversely affect my life going forward, but I'm one of the few people that I know, and I know quite a few that have had strokes. I'm probably the only one that it didn't seriously adverse my quality of life going forward. Everybody else I know either isn't allowed to drive, or they can't walk, or they can't talk, or they died, you know, so that's something. Well, where'd that page go? Must have moved down some. Wrong button. Okay, there it is. Because I know I can make a difference, so I intend to make a difference. And one of the concepts I keep hearing over and over, there's no, win is not the opposite of fail. You either win or you learn. Here again, lessons are repeated until learned. So sometimes the lesson is what most people would call failing. And we all fail, quote unquote fail, in our weight loss strategies. But are you failing or are you learning so you can move ahead? I think that's the question to ask. So if I were to go all in and I didn't get to where I wanted to go, am I really any worse off than I am today? He used an example of a young lady, when he was young, like 20, he dated a girl and they'd go over to her parents' house for dinner. He talked about building a business and all this stuff, and one I think was a teacher and one worked for the government, he said. And they would get all excited about, all the possibilities he had. And then he drove back by it in one of his sports cars or expensive motorcycles the other day, and they were both out working the yard, same house 25 years later, and he used that as a what if example. What if they had had the courage to make the move and do what excited them? Would they still be in the same house 25 years later? I mean, I know like Sam Walton, one of the richest people in the world, drove a truck that was 20 years. A lot of rich people drive old cars, so I shouldn't feel so bad about my, 15-year-old car now. She still runs good, and I still get around on it. Excuse me. So I'm not saying because I don't think he was saying because they still lived in the same house that they hadn't accomplished anything. I just think he was thinking they could have accomplished a whole lot more and maybe paid somebody to do the yard work 25 years later. That not a whole lot had changed because they didn't change. Growth and change is a part of life, and I've learned that, if I didn't already know it, in 2024. So no matter what happens in 2025, if I don't try, I may regret it later, and if I win, I'm not much better off. So, hint, hint. And then a big thing that happened in 2024 was Dr. Hardy's comments from 2020 and 2021 when I was in the AMP program, which is Accelerated Momentum Project or program. I had to Google that, and it wasn't very easy to find because he doesn't do it anymore. So Accelerated Momentum Program. And then I did his last quarterly event in Q4, which my goal, impossible goal there, was to get to my healthy weight on the BMI scale. So I guess that was a learn. It's still a win. I made a lot of progress, but I didn't hit the mark. And one thing Dr. Hardy says is goals aren't meant to be hit. They just move you further along. So don't feel bad if you didn't hit the goal, that there's somebody going down the golf course. I see him in the reflection in the mirror. So I guess they probably hit their ball and they're out there looking for it. So anyway, maybe the impossible goal wasn't why I signed up. It was to learn all this other stuff I've learned, because a lot of the concepts, he said, Happy New Year. I should have put that on Do Not Disturb. But anyway, a lot of the concepts he mentioned. How do I get back to the home page? Let's see. Oh, I guess when the screen blanks out and then I revive it, it's over here on the buttons to move the page. So that's why when I look back down, it's not where I thought I was. Lay down, baby. Now I'm not sure which page I was on, but I was on Dr. Hardy's thing and I wanted to say what I had written down. Okay, here we go. They've started coming into clearer focus, because I'd hear things like be, do, have, and I'm like, what does that mean? It's something about you have to be what you want, then you have to do it in order to have it. And Dan uses another thing, learn, teach, do, or something. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But I'm like, oh, that's the same as be, do, have, because you have to believe you have it, then you have to manifest it and do, oh yeah, there's the golfers. The dogs are out after them. Well, she won't be licking my fingers at the moment. But those things are really starting to come into focus, and they are actually going back to the positive mental attitude that was ingrained into me 20 years ago when I went to all the multi-level marketing meetings, the rah-rah sessions every 3 months, which was a quarterly event to keep you excited. And Dr. Hardy did a quarterly event to get us moving. And he also said it was going to be the last one, so I'm kind of glad I signed up. And let me see here. Some of the things, one of his sayings he says a lot, and then I heard Dan say it today in the video I was listening to before I made this, was, what got you here won't get you there. You know, you got to change. If you're happy where you're at, then you don't have to change anything, because what you're doing is, that's about as high as you're going to get with the same thing. You know, it's the Einstein theory that insanity, the definition of insanity, not a theory, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So what got you here won't get you there. Dr. Hardy talked a lot this quarter about raising your floor, which folds into the 80-20 concept or rule, which means 20% of what you do gives you 80% of your results, and 80% of what you do gives you 20% of the results. So you might as well cut out the 80% that's only producing 20%. So I have eliminated most of my other social media other than YouTube, and I'm kind of using the Chillin' with Chip or CP59 Fit channel more as a Facebook feed than a educational. This is a more educational and health-based channel. When I leaned that way, I realized I could see some houses, excuse me, houses on the other side of the golf free fairway. But anyway, another thing, both Dr. Hardy and Dan Martell have said, and I have learned, and I've been working on it for years without having a catchy little statement like this. I have been becoming a minimalist, you know, since I sold my house. I really had to get rid of everything. So by default, I became a minimalist, and I haven't bought it all back because I've been living on the road. Since I got out of the apartment, I gave everything away then. But anyway, complex fails and simple scales. And scales is a term used to build a bigger business. And there's more on that in some context a little bit later. Let me figure out how to get this down again. And this next thing is what I had originally planned to start this with, but then it got moved down further and further. And this was, again, Dan Martell, I think. But Dr. Hardy has also been teaching me this for 3 months, probably for 3 years, is that you can say no, and you don't owe anybody a reason. You don't have to give a reason. You know, can you come over? No, thank you, bye-bye. You don't have to say, no, I've got this going on, that going on. I remember back in my Amway days, they said, any excuse will do. You know, if somebody comes and asks you if you want some, they can borrow an axe, you can say, no, I'm making chicken soup. Any excuse will do. It doesn't matter. You can say, I don't have an axe, excuse me. I guess we all have the other thing, at least one term of it. But anyway, and I have learned, and that's part of the 80-20 rule. That's how you get to your 20% that's producing the 80%, is you say no to everything else that isn't. And that brings me to, in fact, instead of a to-do list, most of us should make a do not do list or a not to do list. But according to Rhonda Byrne and The Secret and the Greatest Secret, you need to make a positive not to do list. So let me give you a few examples. You know, I could say I won't let eat sugary foods. Okay, but that's sending out negative thoughts, and the subconscious doesn't understand not. So all it hears is, I should eat sugary food. So you don't want to be saying that, because you're programming, you're telling the law of attraction, sugary food, sugary food. So it's sending it out and attracting sugary foods to you. So it would be better to say, I will only eat whole foods. See the difference? A positive thing that you actually want to do versus a thing you don't want to do. So another one would be, I will not skip the gym versus I go to the gym daily. If going to the gym is a thing you want to do, or if you're walking, you don't want to say, I won't skip walking, because then what your brain is hearing and putting in your subconscious, which kind of runs everything, you don't think about your heart beating, you don't think about your lungs breathing, you don't think about your body working when I'm sitting here talking to you. So the subconscious runs everything. So if it's hearing, I'm not going to skip walking, it's going to say skip walking, and then you're going to skip walking. So, or going to the gym or whatever thing. So you say, I go to the gym daily. And then one thing I've just kind of figured out, it's kind of the whole purpose of this channel called Unconventional Healthy Living Strategies, was the subtitle up to about a month ago, and now it's Carnivore and Lifestyle Coach. Either way, it all means the same thing, is that we need to question our long-held beliefs. They need to be investigated and, if necessary, changed over time, because the deeper I get into everything I'm doing, the more I find I've been programmed wrong by hearing the wrong things, untruthful things, improper things, things that aren't the best for you, and believe them. They said the reason Hitler was successful is that if you tell people a lie long enough, they believe it as the truth. They did that with seed oils. They did that with adding grain to the food pyramid. And they said you need fiber, which is a big lie. You don't need fiber. You don't need a single carbohydrate. I did a video on that, about there's no essential carbohydrates. So you can search the channel for that. But anyway, every belief we have, as in you need to work hard to get what you want, needs to be questioned and figured out whether it's helping you or hurting you, and then get rid of it if it's harmful. And I'm getting close to the end, and it's getting kind of long. And that's why I redid it, because I didn't want it to be too long. But anyway, I think I might have copy and pasted it, but I said do it yourself, like I built the photography. Okay. This goes to, I said I'd get back to this, you got to do it yourself to have it right, or nobody does it right unless you do it yourself. I mentioned that earlier. And I had that problem building my photography business, so I did it myself, like when I built my photography business. Or the option is to buy back your time to grow your business. And Dan says he asked himself multiple times daily, and I'm going to start doing this, how can I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? How can I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? And it's probably different guidance than you had yesterday or the day before. So that's a good question to ask. And back to the photography business, I didn't hire an editor, I did it myself. The photographing the event might have taken 2 hours. The editing took 10 or 20. I could have just paid somebody to do that and gone out and got more business. But nope, I did it myself, because nobody would do it like me. And I did build a brand because I was a good editor, but I'm sure other people were just as good as me. Okay, so now let's get a little bit into the health side. Sometime in December, as my landlord and housemate was raving about his gym, I asked if they had a hot tub. He said, oh yeah, it's a really nice one. I then asked about tanning. He said, I think they do, but I've never used it. So that sent me to what I do best, and that is research. I found not only do they have a nice hot tub and an indoor pool with towel service at the level I'm paying for, but they also have a section with a tanning booth, a red light therapy room, hydro massage, a different kind of handheld massage, one of them thumper things, it looks like a hammer or a drill and it goes boom, 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 boom. You can hold it on your shoulders or your legs. It doesn't go boom, boom, boom. It goes. But anyway, I think you know what I'm talking about. They advertise it on TV. Two of those, and they got massage tables there you can sit on. I guess if you had a friend with you, they could hold it and you could lay down, but I just have to do it myself. And then they have another thing, and I don't even know what it's called, but it's almost like sleeves you put on your legs. I'd call them like a pant leg. You have to take your shoes off, and then it zips around your foot and all the way up. And you plug it into some kind of air thing that pumps it up, kind of like a soft cast, but apparently it invigorates your legs or something. So anyway, long story short, I actually joined that gym and canceled the one I had that I could join a gym anywhere I was at because I'm not traveling as much. Is that going to trap me in this city? I'm not sure at this point. Apparently if you move, you can cancel more than 25 miles, which that's never a problem for me. I go long distance, but anyway, I'm not looking to cancel. I really like it. So I may end up just staying in that area a little bit longer. Let me see here. It is a bit more expensive than I was actually using a Planet Fitness through the other membership. Because they got kind of funky here a few months ago, and they said you can't have a gym everywhere you go. You can only have one. And if you want another one, it's $25 a month. I'm like, good gosh, I got to pay $25 a month and join the gym myself, not have to go through you. So anyway, I ended up having to cancel like 9 different other gyms. And even though I may have joined it in Tennessee, they may have had a branch here that I could use, so it was a pretty good deal for only $28 a month. But between canceling that and rearranging my phone plan so I can't call international countries I never call. Guys, there must be a squirrel under the deck here. They're after something. They'll come popping out in a minute. There they go. He was running, but here he comes. He must have, come here. What you got there, Earl? What you doing? Are you just playing with Callie? Or is there a squirrel or something down there? Anyway, and then rearranging my phone plan, I saved like $12 a month there, and that's basically going to pay for the gym. Hey, guys, stop. They've gotten wound up now. That's part of the fun of being a house sitter, pet sitter. You really can't they're not your dogs, and they don't always listen. And they say they can be outside, but then they get wound up. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. So anyway, by joining that gym, they have what's called an in-body scanner. That's a thing you stand on barefoot, and it has two. I think I mentioned this in another video because I remember, oh yeah, at the park, because I almost knocked this drink over there. But anyway, you hold your thumb, you have to hold your arms out from your body, and you hold your thumbs on it, and it sends a light electric current through your body, and then you get a printout of weight, body fat mass, lean fat mass, water percentage, and all this stuff. And I had some in-body test right after the stroke, which is almost a decade ago now. So it was 9 years ago in August that I had that. 4 years ago in November I started this channel. And after I got out of the hospital, I decided I would do Camp Gladiator to get in shape. Not that I was out of shape, but then the doctor was concerned about my fully occluded internal carotid artery, and she said, well, you got to do it before sunrise or after sunset because this is in Texas and it's hot. So I did, but they did a challenge 1 month, I think. You join monthly with that, I guess, like you do a gym. And so I got an in-body at the beginning, I got an in-body at the end, and of course I've moved cross country since then. I don't know if it's in a box somewhere. I probably just threw it away. But anyway, so I got an in-body scan recently, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when I guess I've been down here a week, 2 weeks, and I was in Pennsylvania for Christmas. So white Christmas. It wasn't snowing, but there was snow on the ground. May not count, you know, according to the actual, but to me it does when you're in Texas and you never see snow on Christmas. But anyway, prior to that, when I had that gym membership I could join place, there was a Staiku machine at some of them, which is a infrared thing. You stand on this like a sit and spin, and it spins you around slowly, and this infrared makes a 3D image of your whole body. You stand there in your underwear. And then it somehow tells you what your fat mass is and your lean mass and some other things. And prior to that, when I was in Fort Worth, actually when I went back in the April after I left, so 2022, April, so that's been 2.5 years, I had the gold standard of body scanning. It's a DEXA scan, which was a dual type of x-ray that you're laying on a bed and the x-ray kind of goes up and down over your body. And apparently the table is a scale, the bed is a scale. So it weighs you, it tells you what your bone mass is, what your fat mass is, what your visceral fat is, what your lean mass is, and all this. So over the last 2.5 year period, matching up what I could from the three, since they all three spit out different results. Things that were on all three of them were like body fat percent, mass, fat mass, lean body mass, lean body percent. That was pretty much it. So there was 4 things, but 2 of them were the same, you know. Body fat percentage and body fat mass are generally the same measurement. But and total weight, they all had a total weight on them. Of course, in one of them you're in underwear, in the other 2, in the DEXA scan, you're told to dress with loose fitting clothes on. So I was in like a gym workout thing, shorts and a t-shirt. And the last one I was in sweatpants and probably a heavier shirt because it's cool. So the scale at home was lower than this scale, but we're going to go with this one because I get that every month now. So I'll have some updates next month. And the trainer that administered it was telling me, oh, you're not you're old, but as you age, and he was almost my age, as you age, you lose your lean body mass and you lose your muscle mass, so you need to do more cardio. Like, cardio does not help you save lean muscle mass. So anyway, I agreed to listen to his pitch on cardio, and I told him I probably wasn't going to do it though. So the results have proven me right. I am gaining in lean muscle mass. I am losing in body fat mass. Unfortunately, the numbers don't all add up, and I'm not down as far as I would like to be. But here's what the numbers say. In the 2.5 year period, I lost an overall weight of 15 pounds, so total weight, which worked out to losing 24 pounds of fat mass and gaining 17 pounds of lean muscle. Well, if you do the math, that's only 7 pounds different. So where did I lose the other 8 pounds? I don't know. Anyway, that's the problem with different machines. So I will go back to the the InBody, when I get back up to, I don't even know what day it was. I guess I'll have to look on the paper, like the 15th or something of December. And I found out that there is a sports medicine place near my father, actually closer to the Costco I worked at, that has a DEXA scan. I think it's $100 a session. So maybe this summer I'll do one of those. I'll see how the InBody, and then I'll do a DEXA scan and we'll compare results then. But that's basically the main of it. Oh, and no, they all measured BMI, which is body mass index, which is a horrible measure of anything. It's flawed, basically. But anyway, let's go with it. When I started, I was 30.3, which is in the, oh, there goes a squirrel. They're chasing out. Oh no, they're just gonna play with each other. That Australian cattle dog apparently was abused. They're both rescues, so she's very timid, but she's attacking that little one more and more every day. So they're getting used to me. They're getting back to their normal. She kind of shied away from me, and she doesn't like loud noises. But they do like being out there in the sun. But it's a bit cool and breezy today. So anyway, 30.3 is obese for men of my age and height. And then where's the most accurate one? Oh, I was 28.3 on the latest one, which is considered overweight. and I was at 214 pounds, which was, like I said, 15 point something down from 2.5 years ago. So weight loss is like a roller coaster. I'd go down, I'd go up a little, I'd go down, I'd go up a little, I'd go up a lot when Mom died, and then down again. So I still have some work to do, and we're going to do it. Don't you worry about that. So let's see here. So I just wrote more about my ultimate goal, about my Q4 challenge. Come on, thing, work with me. Maybe I'll move it up here. Let me see what else this says. Oh, my goal was 189 and I'm at 214, so that's 25 more pounds to go. And you have to be 24.9 or lower on the BMI scale to be in the healthy range, so there's still work to do in 2025. But are you planning to join me as I continue to improve? We may even have a challenge one month where we all try to lose weight together and I can help coach through Zoom or live videos or something like that. But please, in the comments, answer how I could help you in 2025. If you're still here. I know this is long and most of you are gone by now. The honest to God truth is most people don't even care what I'm saying. So if you're still here, thank you very much, and I appreciate it greatly. You can comment on that too if you want to. And the last thing that's really hit me in the last year was another thing that Dan Martell said. He and I've been texting him or messaging him, whatever it's called, on Instagram. He puts his Instagram on his YouTube and says, if you want this guy, just put this word in my direct message. So he's told me to reach out to him when I want to scale my business, and that may be a while. But he was in an interview today I was listening to as I was getting this ready, and he said he likes to build an empire for people. And his definition of empire is a life of unlimited creation. Remember what I said earlier about being a creator? A life of unlimited creation, because I am created by a creator that wants me to create. So the full sentence is a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from is his definition of an empire. So join me as I build an empire over the next several years. I'm not in a rush to do it. Oh, she's pooping. I thought I was looking at a weird angle. Her tail's sticking. Anyway, don't need to know that, do you? Let's go build an empire where I can create and never have to retire, but still live a good quality of life. And again, let's see if I can cut it off down here. Anyway, have a happy, healthy 2025. God bless. Leave me a comment down below if you're still here. Even if you left early, leave me a comment if you think about it. The battery's almost dead, so if I'm making more videos, I have to grab another one. Maybe it's a good thing I bought new extra batteries and the mic mod, so hopefully you can hear me fine. I know somebody commented on my train video. Dude, you need to speak up. I'm like, well, I had crappy equipment that I was speaking of. I didn't want to wake up the whole train making a video. Anyway, God bless. Enjoy 25. Coming at you from, where am I at? Boiling Springs Lakes, right outside of Southport or Oak Island Beach, North Carolina. It's funny to go up the road and you see the BS utility department, the BS fire department, and the BSPD. I'm like, oh, that sounds real professional. I guess it's a big enough town to have a fire department. But Boiling Springs, BS, yeah. Most people probably think of other things. Well, people here may think of it, but if you're just driving in, the BSFD, the BSPD, that's kind of odd. Let's see if I can cut it off with the phone. I think I've lost contact, but maybe it rejoined. Bye-bye. God bless.